Yo, it's Coach Ed. Got the insights, no boats. From the rookies in the youth leagues to the seasoned pros, ladies ballin', fellas fighting all around the globe. Breaking it down, dynamic. You know, tune in, listen up. Don't wanna miss the flow. It's Coach Ed Reed and Attack the Sports Show. From the courts to the field, he's got the stats. Dropping knowledge is where the real fans at. So stand up, get ready for the play. Wave your arms in the air, let's hear you say play. Coach Ed, our mentor on the mic. Breaking down the game, every highlight. Analyzing plays, court the turf the like. Youth leagues, college dreams, pro spotlight. Tackling the flats, defense or attack. He's got the vision, shows you where it's at. We grab the scoop, no stone left unturned. In Coach Ed's realm, the knowledge earned.
The League of All Leagues is an adult professional football league that is beyond the game. The league is headed by one of the sport's premier women leader of a men's football league who has designed the league to assist in the development of players, teams, and owners as they work towards achieving their respective personal and organizational goals. Based in Linden, New Jersey, the League of All Leagues is comprised of teams playing in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. The league emphasizes sports business as all of its members are a registered business entity, professionalism, and establishing itself as the premier adult amateur professional league experience on the East Coast. Its mission is to provide the athletes, coaches, and businesses the elite opportunity to present their teams in the most professional league around. Each team provides their communities with great fan fest, interactions, and opportunities to continue cheering on their local heroes. If you are looking for some of the area's best football, come out to a game near you. You can find the League of All Leagues on YouTube at www.youtube.com slash at percent League of All Leagues Football 6326 or on Instagram at www.instagram.com slash League of All Leagues Alliance. Can you hear me now? Please don't tell me this whole time I've been speaking and you guys, no one's ever said anything to me. Tommy, let me know if you can hear me. Wow. Okay. Well, right now I'm talking about college football. That's pretty much what I've been talking about. I've been talking about the Pac 12, the closing of the Pac 12, with all the changes that's been going on. Um, Pac 12 is no more. You had teams that are leaving, that have left. And as of July 1st, the new year has started. So teams that were in the Pac 12 have now left the Pac 12, and you're down to two teams in the Pac 12, which is the Oregon State Beavers and the Washington State Cougars. Now they're going to be playing schools in the Mountain West, and they're going to try and see if they can recoup to rebrand the Pac 12. They have 2 years to do that. If not, the Pac 12 is officially done forever. I grew up on the Pac 12, watching the Pac 12. It's a conference that was in existence for 108 years. But with business the way it is, schools have left. And right now, the Pac 12 is down to two schools, as I said. And if they can get schools that want to come over, great. But it's also always going to be about TV money. And if schools right now in the Mountain West or the wherever, they're let's just say they're getting $5 million per school out of that TV money, they're not going to leave because they don't know what they're going to get with the Pac-12. And Oregon State and Washington State have a tough fight. Personally speaking, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. They're going to either end up having to join the Mountain West, or if they can get lucky and join the ACC, if the ACC allows them to join. Okay, Tommy, I'll send you the link in 1 second. Here you go. Hold on. If the ACC allows them to join in, okay, that'll be an advantage for them. But I'll get to that in 1 second. Tommy, there's the link if you want to join in. I appreciate you. Um, but now the part of the schools that were in the Pac-12, Colorado, Utah, Arizona State are joining the Big 12. The Big 12 lost two schools, Texas and Oklahoma, which are their big money makers. Grew up on seeing them playing against Nebraska, Colorado back in the day, even when Colorado won their national championship as part of the Big 12, the Southwest Conference, the Southwest State. It goes way back to the 70s that I've been watching them. But those schools that left the Pac 12 to join the Big 12 now give that conference 16 schools. And with the 16 schools, they're going to be in position economically through TV money to make around $30 to $40 million. Now, I was talking about the ACC. The ACC, you have schools that want to leave the ACC. Their payout is roughly about the same, about $45 million, but they're locked into their grant of rights. And through their grant of rights, the grant of rights basically says you're locked in until 2036. If you leave, you have to pay a $200 million penalty, and then whatever you make from the other conference, that money comes to the league. But FSU filed suit against them because they want to get out. It's just a negotiation tactic. They're going to end up wanting to negotiate, and if they are able to do that, they're going to leave. But of course, the ACC doesn't want to do that because then that opens the door for Clemson, for Miami, for Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Duke. Those schools will end up doing the same thing because they're going to want to go to capitalize financially. And when you look at conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten, those conferences are paying out, they're going to be paying out each school $75, $85 million. Now, the grant of rights with the ACC locks them in up until 2036, but the new TV contracts for the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, those schools will be able to renegotiate
after 2030. So they'll be able to get more money over the ACC. Now, the ACC is a conference, doesn't want to do that. They don't want to pay out any more money. But these other schools will say you can get more money elsewhere. And, when you look at some schools that are making, possibly with the next TV contract, $100 million, and you're only getting $40 million, business wise, makes sense. I want out. Lawyers do it. I'm paying you good money. Help us get out of this demise. Help us get away from this. So we're going to see what's happening, in terms of that. So it really, really, in terms of the sport that I love, it really changes the dynamics. Now, I'm a Big Ten fan, so it really doesn't change much. But, when you add in Washington, USC, UCLA, and Oregon, it's now the official coast to coast conference in my eyes. You can say, oh, the ACC, but it doesn't have the in between. It has the Atlantic coast side, and then it has this couple of schools from the Pacific coast, and then and SMU from Texas. That's pretty much it. But the Big Ten has the Midwest, the East Coast, as well as the West Coast, even if it's 4 schools on the West Coast. They also have major TV markets: New York, Chicago, LA. Top ones, and then everything else in between. Michigan with Detroit, you have 2 markets there, Detroit and Flint. You have Ohio State, which will give you the Ohio market. You have when am I forgetting? Indiana with 2 Purdue and Indiana University. You have Penn State, which is giving you probably Pennsylvania. So you do have a market where you do have a lot of TV markets, which is what the Big Ten wants. You have Portland, which is another market, which is why I say, if they open the door in terms of the ACC, if they were to lose North Carolina, if the ACC was to lose North Carolina and Miami, and the Big Ten can scoop in and grab those up, the amount of money that those schools can then eventually make in the long run, it wouldn't surprise me if you said it was $150 million for each school, in after 2030, if the ACC was able to negotiate and allow schools to leave. But then if you do that, there's going to be a mad scramble. The Big 12 will probably open the door for the other schools, and some of those other schools will leave and join, and then you'll be down to 3 major conferences. And whoever's left, you'll probably be playing with a group of 5 like the AAC, which is fine, but you're not going to be getting the big paydays like the other schools. So it's intriguing. I really am appreciating what's going on in terms of college athletics. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in 1 second, but right now I'm just going to take another commercial break, and I'll be right back.
The League of All Leagues is an adult professional football league that is beyond the game. The league is headed by one of the sport's premier woman leader of a men's football league, who has designed the league to assist in the development of players, teams, and owners as they work towards achieving their respective personal and organizational goals. Based in Linden, New Jersey, the League of All Leagues is comprised of teams playing in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. The league emphasizes sports business as all of its members are a registered business entity, professionalism, and establishing itself as the premier adult amateur professional league experience on the East Coast. Its mission is to provide the athletes, coaches, and businesses the elite opportunity to present their teams in the most professional league around. Each team provides their communities with great fan fest, interactions, and opportunities to continue cheering on their local heroes. If you are looking for some of the area's best football, come out to a game near you. You can find the League of All Leagues on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@League of All Leagues Football 6326, or on Instagram at www.instagram.com/League of All Leagues Alliance.
Well, thanks again to Legal Leagues for always being a great sponsor. I really appreciate you, and thanks to all my sponsors. I'm going to continue to highlight them, and you guys will hopefully support them as they continue on being a great supporter of Coach Ed and everything that I have to offer. Now, getting back into the college football landscape, I talked a little bit about the teams joining each conference. I'm going to be a little bit more in detail now and breaking it down. In terms of the ACC, they officially have 17 schools when they added Cal, Stanford, and SMU. So the teams that are in the league are Boston College, Cal, Clemson, Duke, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami, North Carolina, NC State, Pittsburgh, SMU, Stanford, Syracuse, Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest. So that's a pretty expansive league when you think about it and you look at the numbers and 17 schools. But a lot of it is on the East Coast. And then, like I said, SMU, which is in Florida. And then you add Stanford and Cal, which is on the West Coast. Next up is the Big Ten. They're now at 18 schools. Now they're bringing in Oregon, UCLA, USC, and Washington. Now, for the 2024 season, you're going to have Illinois, Iowa, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Purdue, Rutgers, UCLA, USC, Washington, and Wisconsin. So again, that's 18 schools across the country. That's from the Atlantic coast to the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. So again, that's a little bit more expansive in terms of the teams that are in their league. Next up, we have the Big 12. They're going to be at 16 schools. That's going to be Arizona, Arizona State, Baylor, BYU, Cincinnati, Colorado, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, UCF, Utah, and West Virginia. So you can make the argument that they're pretty expansive also. They may not touch directly to the Pacific Ocean, but they're pretty close, and they cover, a good portion of the country because they'll touch the Atlantic coast with UCF and Florida. So, and then again, you have the Pac-12, which now technically is two with Oregon State and Washington. Arizona State, Cal, Colorado, Oregon, Stanford, UCLA, USC, Utah, and Washington. Those are the schools they lost, and they're left with Washington State and Oregon State. The SEC is at 16 schools. They are now Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, Missouri, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. So their focus is on the southeastern into the southwestern region. So they're pretty. I don't want to say they're expansive, but they're well set in their area. So now you do have the ACC Conference USA, Mid American, Mountain West, Sun Belt conferences. Those are all considered group of five. They're not considered power conferences. So, but again, there are some schools that are entering one or two of those. Let me see. The AAC, which is the American Athletic Conference, not to be confused with the ACC, which is the Atlantic Coast Conference. But the AAC is bringing in Army to the fold. Now, they're at 14 teams when they add Army. Army is going to be primarily football only. Let's see. Conference USA is adding on Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State is moving up from the FCS level. There's no changes in the MAC, in the Mountain West, and the Sun Belt. So those schools all stay the same. So now there's going to be future changes. There's going to be other FCS schools that are going to be moving up to the group of five areas. And like I said before, we don't know what's going to happen in terms of the ACC. That's the big sticking point, and that's what we're going to be watching. and everything is derived from football because that's what pays the bills. You can make the argument as far as the NCAAs, and they do get a nice little payout from that, but not enough to um, control the narrative in terms of football. The only conferences that there are a couple basketball only conferences like the Big East, but they don't give out a payday in the 50, 60, 70 million dollar range. So, but everything else is paid off of that. So it's real interesting. It's real intriguing. I love college sports in terms of the competition. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how Oregon does in the Big Ten. Will they be able to compete with the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Penn States, which are the big boys, considered the big boys in the Big Ten? Will Washington be able to continue on after all the changes? What about USC and UCLA? How will they all stand up? In the SEC, Texas and Oklahoma, how are they going to handle competing against the Georgias, the Alabamas, those schools like that? Will they be able to compete on a consistent basis? But now on the other side, here's an important factor: is this opens up recruiting for a lot of these schools, and I can talk to you specifically about the school I follow and that I love is Rutgers University. Um, Rutgers is doing well recruiting rise. Right now, currently, the way the rankings go, they're sitting at number 12, in one publication. So will that change as, schools sign all their kids and add more recruits? Yes. But I ultimately think they're going to be probably in the top 25, top 30 in terms of recruiting ranks, which is going to be great for Rutgers. Things like these changes opens up new markets for kids to now say, well, let me consider this school. Same thing with Texas and Oklahoma. You're competing in the SEC, you're going to be getting a different brand of kids. Same thing with those Pac-12 schools that are going into the Big West. The Big 12. It's going to open up new doors for them in terms of college athletics and what they're able to do in terms of bringing in kids. Also, NIL money. It's going to open up doors. Sponsors and boosters are going to now want to contribute because they want to see their schools do well, especially against some of the top schools. We also have to factor in the new playoff format. Previously, it was 4 schools that made the playoffs, but now it's going up to 12, which now opens up the door for a lot of schools. And now, you're going to say, well, there's going to be one school probably from but now you're going to have 11 other schools, and a lot of those, I'm going to be honest with you, depending on how things lay out, most likely going to come from the SEC and the Big Ten. ACC, depending on how things rank right now, lay out, maybe they get 1 or 2 extra bites at the apple, but overall it's going to fall down to the Big 12, Big Ten, and the ACC. I'm sorry, the Big Ten and the SEC. Those schools are really going to be able to capitalize and take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to them. So, but again, these are some of the things that I love when it comes to the college athletics. I spoke a little bit about the WNBA with the the All-Star game and the upcoming games. Who made the All-Star, the WNBA All-Stars versus the Team USA. That game is going to be played July 20th, 8:30 tip-off. You'll see Team USA competing against Team WNBA. There's going to be a lot of intrigues. There's a great article on ESPN.com, gives you a breakdown a little bit more, talks about the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, being that they're the rookies, but they're dynamic, playing on the All-Star team, with all the the competitiveness that a lot of fans throw out there, and then the dynamic of Team USA versus the WNBA team, the Izzy Megabor being left off. You also have the teammates going up against teammates on each. You even have 2 fiancés competing against each other, in terms of that, in Dewana Bonner and Alyssa Thomas for each side. So it's going to be very intriguing and very interesting. It's going to be something that I'm going to enjoy. So, but again, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. A little bit of W, a little bit of the NCAA. I'll be back again with another Coach Ed's Reading Attack on Friday, 6 o'clock on Friday, just for an hour before I jump on. Tomorrow I'll be streaming with the Full Court Press podcast, talking more WNBA. And Saturday I'll be with my brother from another Philly Halftime with the Halftime Coach of the Adjustment Show, as we two old farts talk to you about sports, but we also talk a little bit about life. We also have a special guest on for Saturday, so that'll be 2 o'clock on Saturday. Make sure you guys are tuned in. Again, I appreciate everyone for being here. Tommy, thanks for being here, clarifying and helping me let everyone hear me. Daniel Berry, Raph, thanks you guys for tapping into the chat. For those of you watching or listening in, I really appreciate you. Appreciate everyone and always for your support. Thanks to the League of All League Alliance for always being the supporter. And with that being said, as I always say in sports, you guys make sure you turn it on and turn it up. You guys have a great holiday. Happy 4th of July. Y'all be safe. Peace.
Yo, it's Coach Ed. Got the insights, no boats. From the rookies in the youth leagues to the seasoned pros, ladies balling, fellas fighting all around the globe. Breaking it down dynamic. Tune in, listen up. Don't want to miss the flow. It's Coach Ed's Reading Attack, the sports show. From the courts to the fields, he's got the stats. Dropping knowledge is where the real fans at. So stand up, get ready for the play. Wave your arms in the air, let's hear you say play. Coach Ed, our mentor on the mic. Breaking down the game, every highlight. Analyzing plays, court the turf like youth leagues, college dreams, pro spotlight. Tackling the flats, defense or attack. He's got the vision, shows you where it's at. We grab the scoop, no stone left unturned. In Coach Ed's realm, the knowledge earned.